Why do the Ten Commandments still matter today? Have you ever stopped to think about why the Ten Commandments, given over 3,000 years ago, are still relevant in the 21st century? In a world where everything changes so quickly, these ancient principles continue to challenge and guide us. But why? More than 80% of people have heard of the Ten Commandments, but how many truly understand them and apply them in their lives? Are they just outdated rules, or do they hold secrets to a full and meaningful life? In a world full of uncertainty, violence, and distractions, the Ten Commandments offer us a clear path to living in harmony with God and with others. They are not just a list of do-nots, but rather timeless principles that can transform your spiritual and practical life. In this video, we will explore the Ten Commandments as timeless principles that can guide your life today. We will discover how they apply to your relationship with God, with the people around you, and even to the modern challenges we face. Get ready for a journey that may change how you see yourself and the world around you. And if you're ready to dive into this reflection, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Let's spread this transformative message together. Let's start with the first 4 commandments, which focus on our relationship with God. These commandments remind us who is in control and how we should honor the one who created us. First commandment, you shall have no other gods before me. The first commandment is clear, you shall have no other gods before me. But what does that mean in a world where so many things compete for our attention? Money, careers, relationships, even our cell phones can become gods in our lives. But God calls us to put Him first, above everything and everyone. In Exodus 23, God reminds us that He alone is worthy of our worship. But how can we put God first in a world full of distractions? A practical way to apply this commandment is to set aside daily time to connect with God. It could be through prayer, reading the Bible, or simply reflecting on His presence in your life. Small gestures can make a big difference. Second commandment, you shall not make for yourself a carved image. The second commandment warns us, you shall not make for yourself a carved image. This goes beyond statues and physical idols. Today, we can create idols in our minds, whether it's the pursuit of perfection, the desire for acceptance, or obsession with material things. God calls us to worship Him in spirit and truth, without intermediaries. But how can we avoid modern idolatry? A way to apply this commandment is to honestly evaluate ourselves. What is taking God's place in your life? It could be a relationship, a career, or even an obsession with social media likes. Recognizing these idols is the first step to putting them in the right place. Third commandment, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. The third commandment tells us, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. This goes beyond avoiding swearing. It's about honoring God's name in everything we do and say. In Exodus 27, God reminds us that His name is holy and should be treated with respect. But how can we honor God's name in our daily lives? A practical way to apply this commandment is to reflect on the words we use. Do our conversations reflect God's character? We can honor His name by being kind, honest, and grateful in our interactions. Fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day. The fourth commandment invites us to remember the Sabbath day. In a world where we are always connected and busy, this commandment is a powerful reminder of the importance of rest and spiritual connection. God created us to work, but also to rest. The Sabbath is a gift to renew our physical and spiritual strength. But how can we apply this principle today? A practical way to apply this commandment is to set aside a specific day or time to rest and connect with God. It could be through worship, family time, or simply a moment of silence and reflection. Now let's explore the commandments that focus on our relationships with those around us. These principles teach us how to live in harmony, respect, and love with others. Fifth commandment: honor your father and mother. The fifth commandment tells us, honor your father and your mother. This principle goes beyond childhood obedience. It's about respecting and valuing our parents, even as adults. In Exodus 20:12, God promises a long and blessed life to those who honor their parents. But how can we apply this commandment in difficult situations, such as family conflicts? A practical way to honor our parents is to express gratitude for what they have done for us, even if they weren't perfect. Small gestures of love and respect can strengthen family bonds. Sixth commandment: you shall not murder. The sixth commandment is direct: you shall not murder. But this principle goes beyond the physical act of taking a life. It challenges us to value life in all its forms. In Exodus 20:13, God reminds us that life is sacred. But how can we apply this commandment in everyday situations, such as conflicts and anger? A practical way to apply this commandment is to seek reconciliation and forgiveness, even when it's difficult. Valuing life also means nurturing relationships and avoiding words and actions that can harm others. Seventh commandment: you shall not commit adultery. The seventh commandment warns us, you shall not commit adultery. This principle speaks about the importance of faithfulness and purity in relationships. In Exodus 20:14, God calls us to protect the sanctity of marriage and relationships. But how can we apply this commandment in a world where infidelity is so common? A practical way to apply this commandment is to invest in healthy relationships based on trust and respect. Small gestures of love and commitment can strengthen marital bonds. Eighth commandment: you shall not steal. The eighth commandment is clear: you shall not steal. This principle challenges us to live with integrity and honesty. In Exodus 20:15, God reminds us that honesty is essential for a full life. But how can we apply this commandment in everyday situations, such as at work or in finances? A practical way to apply this commandment is to be transparent in all areas of life, whether at work, in finances, or in relationships. Honesty builds trust and strengthens the community. Ninth commandment: you shall not bear false witness. The ninth commandment tells us, you shall not bear false witness. This principle speaks about the importance of truth in our words and actions. In Exodus 20:16, God calls us to be witnesses of the truth. But how can we apply this commandment in a world where lying seems so common? A practical way to apply this commandment is to always strive to speak the truth, even when it's difficult. Honesty strengthens relationships and builds a foundation of trust. 10th commandment: you shall not covet. The 10th commandment warns us, you shall not covet. This principle challenges us to find contentment in what we have rather than desire what belongs to others. In Exodus 20:17, God reminds us that coveting can lead to unhappiness and sin. But how can we apply this commandment in a world full of comparisons and desires? A practical way to apply this commandment is to practice gratitude daily. Recognizing the blessings we already have helps us find contentment and avoid the trap of envy. The 10 Commandments and Jesus. The 10 Commandments are a powerful guide for life, but they are not an end in themselves. They point us to the need for a Savior, Jesus Christ. In Matthew 5:17, Jesus says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." This means that the commandments show us our need for Christ's grace. A practical way to apply this principle is to recognize that while the commandments show us the way, it is Jesus' grace that enables us to follow it. Through Him, we find forgiveness, strength, and the ability to live a life that honors God. The 10 Commandments in the modern world. In an increasingly complex world, the 10 Commandments remain relevant. They offer us timeless principles for facing modern challenges. For example, the commandment, "You shall not covet," helps us deal with constant comparison on social media. Instead of envying others' lives, we can find contentment in our own blessings. A practical way to apply the commandments today is to seek balance and wisdom amid life's pressures. They remind us of what truly matters, our relationship with God and with others. Conclusion. The 10 Commandments are not just old rules, they are timeless principles that can transform your life. They guide us in our relationship with God, with those around us, and even in how we deal with modern challenges. Today, we explored how the commandments help us prioritize God, live in harmony with others, and find contentment in a world full of distractions. But the journey doesn't end here. Which of these commandments do you find most challenging? Share in the comments, and let's reflect together. This week, choose one commandment to apply practically in your life. See how it impacts your faith and relationships. Remember, small steps can lead to big transformations. If this video spoke to your heart, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more transformative messages.